Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for the third and final part of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and finish this up. Alright, first question. Strategies for retaining gains when on holiday. Might be heading to Japan for a few weeks. How would you plan? Thanks, Coach. For my American subscribers, this guy is obviously Brit, and the Brits call going on a vacation going on holiday. So in case there was any confusion there, because a lot of Americans would be like, what the hell does he mean a holiday? Like Christmas? Like Easter? But yeah, he means going on vacation. Well, the strategy I would suggest would be to, number one, find a gym in Japan. I'm pretty sure there are Japanese people who lift weights and work out. Pretty sure they have chin-up bars, dips, and all sorts of other stuff. I'm sure you can find a place to do some exercising. So you need to be able to train. Number two, get lots of quality food in. Now, a lot of Japanese food is pretty healthy. They have got a lot of really interesting and unique foods. I recommend trying some of those foods out. Enjoy all the different varieties of foods. You'll probably get pretty good balanced nutrition. You'll probably get plenty of protein. There's a lot of lean proteins, a lot of carbs, a lot of starchy carbs in Japanese food. I don't think you're going to have any trouble as far as the nutrition ends. So, I mean, treat it like anything else. Get in and train. And even if your training volume gets reduced, let's say you're on vacation there for 3 weeks, and you can only get 2 workouts in instead of your normal 4. Well, 2 workouts a week, combined with good nutrition, plenty of calories, plenty of protein, should be sufficient to maintain all your gains. You shouldn't lose anything. This shouldn't be a problem. It's not an issue, brother. Go enjoy yourself. Enjoy your vacation. All right, next question. You think most people can get to a 200, 300, 400, 500 press, bench press, squat, deadlift within, let's say, 5 years of training consistently? My answer to that would be, are they a healthy male of at least average genetics? And I would say yes, that's totally doable. Now, if you have a medical issue, or let's say you're really, really short, so therefore you're just going to gain less total muscle, those might not be obtainable in that time frame. But I think being capable of a 200 press, and that means a strict standing press, 300 bench, 400 squat, 500 deadlift, I think that is obtainable for the vast majority of healthy men inside of 5 years. I think those are good lifetime training goals. And yeah, if you're not capable of doing those things at the end of 5 years, it might be time to reassess the quality of your training. And I know people will say things like, well, different people have different goals. Well, if your goals included developing a well-rounded muscular base, then those should be obtainable. All right, those are not powerlifting specific numbers. There's nothing about those numbers that screams, I trained for competitive powerlifting. Those are numbers that say, I built a well-rounded base and I don't have a single weak muscle anywhere in my body. That I have spent 4 or 5 years developing every muscle in my body to a reasonable level of hypertrophy and strength. That's what that says. In other words, someone who trained even for something like physique competition at the natural level, I think those goals should be doable by them. And it doesn't mean you have to hit those maxes. You don't have to train always for a 1 rep max to develop a strength base. You need to remember those could be your calculated maxes. A person could estimate those to be their maxes even if they never go under 5 reps. So perspective when we say that. Yeah, I think they're totally obtainable. I think those are realistic, reasonable goals. And like I said, if you can't reach those goals after 5 years, it might be time to seriously reassess what you're doing. You have some sort of glaring weaknesses in your training or progression. All right, next question. Hi, Jason. I often have problems with undereating, and if I don't pay attention, I will lose weight and often muscle pretty fast. Now, I'm about 18% body fat and have made good gains. Would you recommend a high protein diet going greater than 2 grams per kilograms? In my case, if I don't track calories and just want to drop down a few body fat percentage and want to ensure I don't lose my gains. Yeah, that's a great question. For the chronic undereater, the person who struggles to eat enough food, when they do want to lose body fat, Sometimes all they have to do is increase their protein. Sometimes that's all they have to do. And the reason that happens is that can kill two birds with one stone. Number one, we know increasing protein intake will usually allow for better muscle retention when in a calorie deficit, right? That's a given. It usually does. Not always, but it leans in that direction. So by increasing protein, you're going to help hold on to muscle mass better. Furthermore, protein is satiating. If you're someone who does not have much appetite, boosting your protein intake to 250 grams of protein a day may completely destroy your appetite and cause fat loss, right? So in the case of a person who is the chronic undereater, who will lose weight if they don't track things, by purely bumping your protein up to that alone, you may go ahead and start losing body fat anyways due to, again, thermic effect, increased satiety, everything else. So yeah, for a person who says, you know what, I just want to drop 5 pounds of fat right now after a bulk and have a chronic undereater, yeah, just pumping your protein intake up alone may be enough to reach your goals. You know, that's the thing. The grass is always greener on the other side. Chronic undereaters have some things really easy, and chronic overeaters have other things really easy. It's amazing how that works. All right, guys, next question. Hi, Jason. How do you feel about replacing power cleans with deficit deadlifts on the Texas Method program and adding 3x5 weighted chin-ups on Saturday after the PR day on Friday to add more back work, as it only has you do 3 sets of bodyweight chins for the week otherwise? Thanks. Really, it's only bodyweight? I thought Texas Method allows you to use weighted chins. No, I'd say definitely use weighted chins. If you're strong enough to do weighted chin-ups, definitely. As far as the replacement there goes, I would ask you, because I don't remember this, I haven't read practical programming in probably 5+ years. I have not read it in at least 5 years. So what I would ask you is the same thing that any of those starting strength guys would ask you, because that's their forte. I mean, starting strength and practical programming are the wheelhouse of the starting strength guys. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of those guys would ask you, what does the book say? I mean, practical programming is pretty much a guide to the Texas Method. Am I missing something there? So look through the templates and recommendations it has. Look through that stuff. It should have something in there for that, as far as breaking that down. You know, if anything, my biggest concern with the Texas Method is lack of enough volume, though. So I would almost wonder if maybe you shouldn't run the template as it is, do weighted chin-ups instead of bodyweight chin-ups, and find a place to add deficit deadlifts if you feel you need to do them. Because I would say, just my own personal opinion on the Texas Method is, I feel like the overall volume itself is insufficient for an intermediate lifter, which is who it's really written for. I mean, I'm not saying Texas Method isn't good, it is, but if anything, it needs some additional big heavy barbell work at it. I just think the overall volume is insufficient, particularly on some of the days. You know, especially when you start factoring in that it's like a 3-day-a-week program. So if anything, finding places to add these things rather than replacing things might be the direction I would go. But I would say that if you're going to run the Texas Method, you really need to read that book cover to cover a couple times before you start modifying it, so that you understand that program all the way through. Because there's a lot of intricacies and things in that book about how to modify and how to run it. All right, next question and last question of the week, and this one's a little bit personal. Do you speak any Czech? Yashamash? Yeah, that's about all I've got. I don't speak Czech. I understand Czech. And it's kind of funny how that works, because a lot of people see my last name, they realize my last name is Czech. And yes, my family immigrated here to Texas when it was still Czechoslovakia. I had a great-grandmother who did not learn English. She spoke Czech and she spoke German, but she didn't speak English. And she used to babysit me while my mother was going to nursing school. So about several days a week. I don't really know how many, to be honest. I'm not going to lie and say I know how many days. I know that she used to babysit me for the first 2 years I was alive. This is what was told to me. I don't really remember her, but it was Great-Grandma Prajak. And she spoke to me in Czech and used to sing to me little lullabies and things in Czech when she used to babysit me. But I was around 2 or 3 years old when she died. And I did not know that I understood Czech. I had no clue, other than my grandma and one of her sisters later at a big family gathering. They were gossiping about other people in Czech. And I came over and repeated something in English that one of them had said. And they all stopped, and they're like, where'd you hear that? And I'm like, well, I heard you say that, about Aunt Sheila or whatever. I heard you say that about her, earlier today. And they're like, yeah, but we said that in Czech. That was not in English. You weren't supposed to understand that. And so they talked to me a little bit, and we realized at that point I actually understood just enough Czech to get by. I don't speak it. I'm unaware of the nuances of the language, but I guess I picked up on just enough of it that if people talk in Czech, that I can pick up enough keywords to understand basically what they're saying. And it has to do just with my grandma, great-grandmother actually, babysitting me for a couple of years. And that's it. That's the only reason I understand some of it. Because she never learned English, and I was a little baby, and she talked to me and would babysit me. So I heard it when I was really young. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.